Natalie, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today and for me to present this package. So I'll just go through today. It's 24th of March, 2:15 p.m. and maybe if I explain a little bit of the process, the journey of when we first met to talk about the design of your living room space. If there's any questions at any stage, feel free. Near the end there may be more questioning and discussion, but you're welcome to ask questions or for clarification at any stage as well. Okay. So maybe we'll start with the journey. So I know you anyway, which is lovely. And I think that, the main basis of all of this project is working with a living room, a redesign of living room with a contemporary style. At the moment, you've got this beautiful home, lovely mock Tudor style, built in the 1930s, semi-detached. And as you enter, it's the front reception room. You've got several reception spaces. We're very fortunate, got a lovely house. And the front reception room is the one that you're earmarking for a redesign. At the moment, it's not being used.
Exactly. It's a mess at the moment. It's just storage, really.
Yeah. Okay. And a young family, you haven't lived in this home for very long. Yeah. I should also clarify where we're talking about. So on Forest Ridge in Beckenham. Mm-hmm. That's where your semi-detached house is. And so I'm hoping for that to be used more as a living space, particularly for adults, but your 2 young children will also have access to the space.
So family are allowed in, but it will be the adult space primarily. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah. Another thing that's worth noting in the video as well is that it's a north-facing room, so a little bit dark. You won't have direct sunlight. Yeah. But at the moment, I've noticed from taking photos and carrying out the site survey, it allows so much light already. It's incredible, really.
It is light, it is.
And it's quite a quiet residential setting. You don't really have privacy issues, although
no, not really.
It's quite a quiet, leafy street. So shall we start with when we first met about this project? We're thinking about living room contemporary style, and some of the main things you were particularly keen on were, in terms of colours, mid-browns, browns. Yeah. I brought a few fabric samples even right from the start, and you chose some that you liked and others you disliked. Yeah. So we were leaning towards even some of these ones. Some lovely thick pile velvets. This one is a mix with wool and silk. And then these ones, we're wondering there's potentials for furnishings, but we'll come back to that shortly. And then so when I went away from that informal meeting that we had and compiled this inspiration board, and I shared this with you, and I recall, you may wish to clarify, but I recall you're drawn particularly to the lighter browns, this kind of mid-brown, the darker brown here, the kind of slightly rustic, and I was inspired by nature, but it draws out those kind of tones. And then I think also the velvety look of this rug. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, I was very fortunate. There wasn't anything particular you wanted to have changed about the inspiration board.
No, definitely really happy. I like these kind of neutralish tones, and I like the idea of quite tactile fabric. So I was really happy with that.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. I'll just run through. I've written up a little presentation script, so I might be referring to it a couple of times. One other thing I remember you mentioned right from the start is you have some family members who visit regularly, and one requirement of this reception room that's not yet furnished fully is to have seating, sofas that will be firm, comfortable, but easy for sitting down and getting out of.
Yeah, exactly.
Well. Yeah. So we're thinking of the redesign of the room in terms of the wall treatments, paint and or wallpaper. The flooring is already beautiful. You've got some natural, I think probably oak, large floorboards.
Yes.
They're amazing wood planks.
Okay.
A couple of things I noted there was there's some silicone filled between some of the gaps, which would be a safety issue with toddlers.
Yeah, sure.
And a baby becoming a toddler fairly soon.
Yeah.
And then also thinking about the window treatments. I remember one thing you're particularly keen on right from the start is having shutters.
Yes, definitely.
So I think that sounds lovely. And then we also discussed the possibility of having Roman blinds there.
Yes.
So the way that could work together, as we also discussed, is having cafe style shutters. So just the bottom half of the window frame covered with or treated with shutters, and then Roman blinds at the top.
Yes.
To use.
I hadn't really thought of that before, but I'm really keen on that idea.
Okay.
Now I've sort of been noticing what other people have.
Yeah.
Because it just gives you the opportunity to have sort of a nice fabric as well as the shutters.
Absolutely.
I think that would look nice.
Which I think will also help bring in the warm tones and a bit of colour.
Yes.
Extra a beautiful feature and more light.
Yes, I think we're good to that one actually.
Great, lovely. And you're keen to, just going back to the floors, you're keen to keep the wooden floor, which I think is excellent. I would recommend, I think it would be worth having it sanded down and then retreated, so all the gaps, the silicone is taken out.
Okay.
And then maybe just a varnish or some sort of wood treatment, whether you want a gloss finish or it could be even a very matte finish.
Okay.
But that might be worth thinking about.
Okay, yeah.
And then you're also thinking of a rug on top, weren't you?
Yes, I was, yeah.
So as you've seen in the sample board, there's a sample that you like. We'll come to that shortly as well. So window treatment, floor treatment, and walls. You're keen for a fresh lick of paint, aren't you? Yeah. And one thing that is also shown in the photos and the diagrams, the drawings, is that there's a picture rail all the way around that could be used for art, but also could be used to separate for different colours on the walls for paint. And then another thing to note is there's two beautiful fitted cabinets either side of the fireplace on wall C, I think I've called it. So the fireplace to stay and the two fitted cabinets, which I think are lovely features in the room as well. So you've got a lot on offer in that room. It's just to reclaim that space and keep it aside for the adults. Bit of downtime in the evening. So okay. So we'll move on from the inspiration board. I'll just put that to the side and I'll have a drink as well. And then this part is something you've not yet seen, Natalie.
No.
So when I carried out the site survey in your home, I drew up quick sketches in my sketch pad, and this was the translation in a technical drawing. So this is the floor plan, so the main entrance is here, entering through from the hallway into the front reception room, beautiful 5-sided bay window, lovely feature, and I think blinds and Roman blinds and shutters will work really well there. 2 fitted cabinets, fireplace in the centre, and then plenty of space for furnishings, sofas, rugs, floor lamp, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll move on. Now if I just explain, I have drawn up all of the elevations. What I mean by an elevation is each of the walls.
Okay.
So as walking in through the door, I've called this wall A, then wall B, wall C and wall D. So the elevations is just looking at the wall head on.
Okay.
So I'll show you, we'll walk through those elevations slowly. And I've also added tracing paper where there's just notes, observations that I made. So here, this is elevation A, as you enter. And at the moment you don't have any fitted anything.
Nothing.
Plenty of space to be utilised. There's one mark here which I think maybe was the previous motion sensor.
Yeah, I think so.
Which needs decoration.
Yes.
And then you have the new motion sensor fitted there. This is wall B. You can see the side profile of the right hand side fitted cabinet. Dimmer switch. This is wall elevation C. So the left hand fitted cabinet, right hand fitted cabinet. Wall D with the bay window, radiator. You can see the elevation of that other fitted cabinet. And one thing to mention here as well, with the tracing paper included, as we've discussed as well, you and I have noted that the electrical socket here is partially covered by the fitted cabinet, which is unfortunate. It looks a bit unpleasant and unaesthetically pleasing, but the main issue I would be considering is the safety issue for little ones, because you can't put a cover plug over there, and also you can't fully utilise it anyway. And it would be, I think, quite a simple job for an electrician to move it, relocate it by 50 millimetres, and you have got the space there. So I think that would be worth doing. It might need a retouch of paint just there, and in fact the wall's going to be repainted
anyway.
So this is coming back to elevation C, with the fitted cabinets on either side of the lovely fireplace. And here on the tracing paper, I've just drawn in the possibility that we've also discussed. There's the gap above each of the fitted cabinets. That, it's not a necessity, but it's just something I noticed. You could have that fitted with a wood panel, just to give a finished look to the fitted cabinets. Budget allowing, it's not a necessity, it's just if you wish to, and maybe even at a later stage, that would be something to consider. And the possibility also of having strip lighting, one strip light fitted above each cabinet would, facing down, would really enhance the features, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Another thought that I shared with you, I think the last time we met, is the possibility, we haven't actually talked about where would the TV go.
Yes.
I apologise for overseeing that. Some people might have it fitted on the wall, mounted on the wall above a fireplace.
It does seem a shame though to make it such a central thing in the room, doesn't it? If
Well,
you're going to have a
so
lovely
beautiful.
room.
I know, and it is a lovely room. You've got some great features there. And one thought that came to me, just with this left-hand side fitted cabinet, you do have the space, if that little divider is taken away there, which I think would be quite a simple job for a joiner, because it looks like quite a strong frame and structure. You can have two wooden doors just closing over that flap to disguise a TV. And then open up the doors, hey presto. That's one thing to consider. Again, not a necessity, but it's a possibility.
I do like the idea of that one though.
Okay. Obviously you'd have to get a TV that did fit into the space. That's one other little...
Well, it doesn't need to be a huge television in that room, because the width of the room, if the sofa was opposite, the width of the room isn't actually very big, so you don't need there's no need to have a massive television, I think, in that room. So it could work.
I agree. That's right. And also, if it's only mainly for evening use, yourself and your husband as well.
I guess the other thing we could think about is we do have a projector. So if the wall was cream, we could use a projector. But
and have that wall mounted, do you think? Or
yeah, we could do. That's one. That's another thing. But
have a fancy home cinema.
But I like the idea of the television being sort of closed away.
I do too. In our home when we moved in, there were TVs in every bedroom. We like watching TV in evenings, but not in bed, not from our bed. And I know some people love that. There was even one in the nursery. So that they were taken down quite quickly.
We just have one television in the house as well.
Well said,
I don't mind too much, but Graham is dead against having televisions everywhere. So particularly in the bedroom, he doesn't like it at all.
I don't think it's healthy for kids either.
Yeah, that's true.
This brings us to more detailed drawings of the bay window. So this is, again, an elevation view, so you can't see every side of the window. And detailed drawing of the fireplace. And then, again, tracing paper over the top. I inquired as to the possibility, again, not a necessity, but you may wish to consider it in the future, budget permitting. I inquired into, I have trade contact with a company who provide a lot of stone and marble for floors and for bathroom features, kitchens and so on, and fireplaces. And with an offcut of marble, and the sample here is called Calicata Calvia, polished. It's quite a simple bluey grey vein. It's not too in your face, but they always have offcuts in their warehouse, and that might be a possibility with an offcut, a square, and then they'd have to cut it to size. It could cost about 300 or so.
Oh wow, okay.
And that would be high end. That would include the labour and the fitting, because it's an offcut.
Okay, that sounds very reasonable.
Yeah. So, and I do think it's a lovely fireplace. That might just add a little bit extra feature if you wish to consider. You can get other marbles. I've got a few other samples if you are interested, with a lot more colour and far more veins, but they would probably be a bit more high end in terms of cost.
Okay.
So then we're coming back to another floor plan, and this is with a bit of colour added, and we're going to come to the sample boards really soon with some of the colours that we've chosen for the scheme. So thinking about a rug, it doesn't have to be that long. I mean, we might be interchanging between the diagrams and the sample boards as well, actually. But I'll quickly talk through this. A rug, possibly a storage ottoman in the centre, to hide away a few extra little bits, toys, whatever you don't want to see in the evenings. It's a lovely sofa, potentially matched with an armchair or right angle chair. I found here there's a twin set of coffee tables that look quite nice. They're almost like a bean shape if you look from the top, and a floor lamp. Yeah. And here's the radiator and bay window, fitted cabinets and fireplace. And then the last drawing, this is a 3D render perspective, so just giving a bit more shade. Although I've coloured it with browns, this isn't necessarily going to represent the actual shade of the fabric, obviously. And then you can see a potential wall mirror, and it just gives you a bit more sense of what it might look like when you're looking from the fireplace. And that's a little bit what the shutters would look like with the Roman blinds above.
Great. Looks cosy.
Wow, I hope so.
Yeah,
I'm sure it will be. And then this brings us to the sample boards, Natalie. So I'm grateful for you taking them away for a bit and then coming back to me with feedback. And that's where a couple of things were changed. So I'll just talk through the items here quickly. Shutters, a possible pendant lamp, a seat from the ceiling, wallpaper, paint, wall mirror. Here's just an image to show the top of the fitted cabinet, just finished. Possible brass finishings for knobs, for light fixtures. This is, again, not the essentials. They could be the add-ons later down the road if you wish.
Sure.
Possible storage ottoman. Now, the people who make this lovely sofa and the right angle, the right section armchair, they can make everything bespoke. So I think, as I mentioned, was it the last time we met or possibly the time before? Yeah. In terms of measurements for your relatives and yourselves, that could be altered if necessary. They could take out the springs from underneath the cushions if necessary. I guess you would need to sit on a couple of their sofas just to get a feel, or possibly before making a down payment. But they're very flexible in terms of fabric, finishing, and the actual structure of the sofa to suit the users.
So I think the main thing my parents struggle with is the height.
Yeah.
So just about getting your hips so that they're above your knees. So a lot of the things, you're like in one line. So basically you just need either the legs, I guess, or the cushions, just to be high enough and firm enough.
So slightly higher than the average sofa, possibly.
Yes, I think most modern sofas are relatively low for my parents, basically.
Sure.
And we've got a sofa that we've had restuffed multiple times, and when it's freshly restuffed, it's fine for them. But once you've had it for 6 months or so, it's difficult because I guess everything drops a bit. And
I'll just have a sip, and there's something maybe I can mention about that. The people who produce these sofas also cater to the hotel trade, so they have to have high, long life longevity. So I think they would really last well.
Great.
They're made in Eastern Europe, and I think that also makes them a little bit more cost efficient compared to if it's a British brand. I'm all for British brand. However, they're able to be a little bit more flexible with the client, which I like, and also they've got a lot of competitors, but I think they're able to meet the need of the end user.
Perfect.
And although I don't have a picture of a storage ottoman made by them, they do make ottomans, but they don't yet have storage ottomans.
Okay.
And I inquired, would you be open to that? And they said, yes, absolutely.
Oh, right, okay.
Just show me images, or show us images, give us dimensions, and so they're really flexible. I think they could be a great company to work with if you're interested. Yeah,
definitely. So I probably would quite like to replace the sofa in the other room as well.
Yeah, the reception room. Sure.
Sounds good.
And they have other fabrics and obviously other styles as well that you might wish to look at. I've got their catalogue. I'm in fact meeting the director next month, hopefully.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I've not met him face to face. We've been in correspondence, but yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, actually, if you would even ever like to meet him yourself, you'd be very welcome.
Oh,
we
great.
could go up to the design centre together
sure.
if you wish.
Lovely.
Okay. Get the hubbies looking after the kids.
Yeah.
So that comes on to here. I've just offered this sample here, Natalie, not to suggest we need to change your flooring because we're going to keep the wooden floors, but it's just to show the tone. I don't know if I've fully captured exactly the same tone as your oak floors currently, but I think it's quite similar. Yeah. This is just showing a matte version. And then the rug, you seem to really like that.
I do, I really like the mug, yeah.
Great.
I think that would work quite well. That looks nice to me.
Yeah, I think that will work well. And hard wearing as well, it's got quite a thick pile, made into vet, and I don't know if you're interested in this, but they're part of a campaign where they're against child labour.
Okay.
A lot of these manufacturers that use a lot of engineering or are made in far-flung places. Sometimes it's not so child-friendly.
Okay.
But these have quite a good ethic behind them. Yeah.
Sounds very good.
And it is actually handmade. I think this one is a Tibetan. Actually, what's it say? Tibetan hand knotted.
Yeah. Amazing.
So that's sample board number 1. Moving on to number 2. I've given a lot to think about. So this would, I think we both agreed, would be a good fabric for the sofa.
Yeah, I actually love that. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I've seen that at the design centre they have some bar stools fitted in this, and I just loved it. Yeah, all around a barbecue, indoor barbecue. So yeah, I think it would be also hard wearing and good for kiddies.
Perfect.
And also, I like the colour because it would hide any small blemishes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I did ask about treatment, and they said yes, you would need to treat it for to be stain resistant. It doesn't come with an actual stain resistance.
Sure. So you do that additionally.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. Which I think most suppliers would say as well. Actually.
Yeah.
So 17 and 19, we were thinking about colours for cushions. So I'm calling this cushion 1, cushion 2, with a possible banding down the centre, or you could even have this as a cushion 3. It's up to you. So you may have a range of, I think, where did I as shown in this picture, you may have a selection of cushions at either side of the sofa, and then also if you have an armchair or right section armchair, you can have a few to scatter.
Yeah.
And then this is the possibility for an ottoman finish. It's leather on hide with this pattern. Now, if you did go for that finish, then you'd probably have to have some sort of fabric underneath or other leather. Yeah. And then this, we were thinking for the blinds.
Yeah,
Roman blinds.
I think it looks nice when you see it all together.
Yeah, it works well, doesn't it?
I think so.
And I'll also mention right here, so we started off with, there's the other wallpaper sample, hidden under here. So we did start with another wallpaper sample, but you didn't like that one, and we chose this, and I think that works really well, Natalie. And I think it will also enhance the rug pattern.
I agree.
Subtle pattern.
I would never have, if you described it to me, I would never have picked that. But just when you showed it to me, I think I think it would look really beautiful with the rug.
Great.
Yeah, and the sofa if it was a similar tone. Yeah, very happy with that.
Great.
And I would never pick it, so that was
It's
a good one.
interesting, isn't it? Well, and I hadn't chosen that wall, but I'd set it aside as, you know, with similar tones, but I hadn't actually chosen that wallpaper, so that's where collaboration works, doesn't it? Because I really like how they all work together.
Yes.
So well done, Natalie. Bit of teamwork. Yeah. And then this is not the material I'd originally chosen for the Roman blinds. This is the darker one I had chosen, but actually you chose that. I went back to the supplier asking, do you have some browns? They didn't have a brown shade similar to the mid browns, but this is a bit more creamy taupe with
it's a nice
few
compliment with this one. It works quite well. Yeah, like that.
It'll be beautiful. Yeah. So it's lovely working hand in hand with you on that. And then we're almost finished.
Okay.
This has been more than 5 minutes I was anticipating. But thank you for your input also, Natalie. This brings me then, I guess, to the review and thinking about our journey. We started with the inspiration board and moved on to these sample boards.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, this is where you're very welcome to give some critical feedback or any thoughts as to, do we see any similarities? There may be some differences, there may be some similarities to where we started and where we've journeyed to.
I mean, it doesn't really feel a million miles away, does it?
No.
Because there's still a lot of sort of natural tones.
That's right.
And I think what I was drawn to on this was, I guess, just the idea of things being tactile.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of quite well captured in some of these fabrics, which I really like. I think it's a little bit more contemporary than maybe what I'd originally contemplated myself.
Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, very much so.
Oh,
I
lovely.
like. I mean, there's quite a few things on here which I would never have picked. But I think these coffee tables, for example, I would never go near anything like that because I would think it looked far too modern for the room.
Right.
But I think they when you would see it put together. I think it would look very nice actually.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's good.
Isn't it?
But yeah, I mean, it feels to me that it feels quite a natural progression really.
Good.
In terms of the tones and
It's interesting you mentioned about the coffee tables because this is designed by someone called Julian Chichester, and he's, now I realise, is very well known in the design world.
Okay.
And they particularly focus on mid-century pieces. And when I first saw that, I would have thought very modern, but actually it does have some classicism in there.
Echoing something more traditional. Okay.
That's right. Same with the sofas as well. I would say that's a very contemporary take on something classic, and that's one of their hallmarks as well. I think is staying classic. But I've heard someone describe their work as kind of hotel chic. Is the kind of finish. So it's quite elegant, but also I think very suitable for a family living with these pieces.
Exactly.
As well.
It feels like it would function. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Good functionality. One thing I liked about this particular image is it just made me think of you, Natalie, with your little chicks, you know, raising two wee kiddies in the home, and there's just something nurturing about that. So that kind of felt right. Yeah. And then one thing that I just wanted to type up and go over with you quickly was a couple of times I've been referring to, you know, this is what you're wanting. And if ever down the road you may wish to consider that would be an extra.
Yes.
And budget allowing. It may not be right now. I know what it's like having a young family and you know pennies are pinched in all corners. So I'll just recap the needs, wants and extras, and there may be other things as well. And if you wish to have a copy of this, you're very welcome. So the needs initially, wooden floor to keep, and I would suggest maybe sanded down and treated. We could even do that ourselves if you wish. I'd be happy, or I could offer to do that. You know, you hire a sanding tool, and so on. Walls to be painted, Roman blinds, sofa and a possible armchair, with suitable for guests with joint pain. Child-friendly furnishings and fabrics.
Yeah.
So you don't want any sharp edges and so on. Coffee table and sofa cushions. Wants a rug, wallpaper probably on one wall rather than all walls, cafe-style shutters, electrical socket relocated on wall D, so keeping it there but just shifting it over a little. Extra lighting such as floor lamp and wall mirror. We haven't even talked about art. That would be another discussion another day. And then budget dependent extras, maybe a larger rug. So back in my drawings, the last two drawings, the render perspective drawing, I've drawn a large rug.
Yes.
This company can make it bespoke.
Okay.
If ever you thought you wanted the colour changed, fine. But it seems like we're all in agreement. This one works well. But the size could be very much fitting with your budget. You may want a much smaller, or you could have it wider, longer, whatever. But I've just drawn that to fit the space really.
Yeah.
So that would also be a discussion with your hubby. And I can show you costings of all of these things as well. Other extras: top of fitted cabinets finished with wood panel and possible strip lighting. Marble inlay in the centre of the fireplace surround, possibly a storage ottoman, and possible brass finishing on cabinets, light switches and sockets. And I think I've already mentioned, I've got some trade contacts, like with the people who produce these sofas. I've also got some trade accounts already. I've been very fortunate that they've just come my way. So that means that we can also, if there's anything else that needs to be bespoke, or particular fabrics you choose, you want used for cushions elsewhere in the home or whatever, you know, we can talk.
Okay, great.
And get a good deal.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and it's cheaper than going through the main high street brands, say John Lewis and so on. You get high-end quality goods, but I mean, there's still obviously price brackets within there. More cost efficient, mid-range, high-end, but you know, we can go with what works with the budget.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So I think that brings me to the end. Do you have anything else you wish to share, or any questions, Natalie?
I don't really think I do.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today and leading up to this presentation. Thank you for taking time to complete the questionnaire as well. I'm very grateful, and it's lovely to know you, and it'll be lovely to maybe be part of a
see a room that
journey.
that you can sit in with me.
Well, there's no pressure, but you know, you go at your pace, what works well for your family, and if I can be of any further assistance, I'm here. I'll be delighted. And I should show you also, this is the reference list for all the samples and the products. So yeah, you may wish to take a copy of that, or I mean, it's just part of my
lovely.
work. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I'll just turn off the video now.
Perfect.
Okay.
Of course.